Hello, Ivan. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? What are you doing right now? What are you concentrating right now?
Sure, Lucas. So I'm head of DWH in Plata. Plata is
Mm-hmm.
a Mexican startup in FinTech. We're doing credit card. And I'm head of the main department who's collecting data and serving data to process data. Because
Mm-hmm.
FinTech is now it's very, very complex services, and we are collecting a lot of data to make our process and products better. So
Mm-hmm.
as a startup, we need to concentrate all data about clients, about our processes, about delivery, etc. A/B testing also is very important in our processes. So briefly, it's my current position and what we're doing.
As you know, at DDDM, DDFM podcast, we like to talk about the problems and how the problems were solved using data. So I have to ask, what's your problem?
Okay, I think generally we have a lot of problems, but I think
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about one more important from my side.
Mm-hmm.
We have the main problem as we faced its lack of data.
Mm-hmm.
Why is problem first?
Mm-hmm.
If we have very dynamic business or a very dynamic company as a startup, we need to get data as fast as we can because first of all, we need to grow fast. And if we have feedback from our clients about A/B testing, for example, faster, we can learn faster and make some decisions to create better products faster.
Mm-hmm.
So time is money. Also, if you have very fast data replication process, you can control all your processes and business very fast. For example, we had this case. If you have, for example, delivery of cards, quite complicated process if you have a limited amount of cards. So for example, you have 1000 cards around the country. You have Mexico, it's a very huge country, and you need to understand where you need to deliver these cards and plan demand, etc. And you need to have hand on the pulse to check that you have required amounts of in each district, and you will have correct demand, for example, in next day, because producing of card is not very fast process and you can't just add more cards in one day. So you need to schedule it in 1 month or more. So the second part is controlling of your business processes and have a health check on monitoring like that.
And what is the goal you are trying to achieve by solving this problem?
I think the main goal is have real-time data. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
the main goal in our industry, in data industry.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's ideal goal that can be reached in near time, and it can be reached with all data, because some
Mm-hmm.
data is produced in some different processes and it can be real time, for example, manual data. But if we're talking about replication from services, we are going to have replication about less than 1 hour. It's our target, because as a standard we have in different companies, it's 1 day to replicate data from all data sources in the company to DWH and process it for data marts and other processes to use it. So our target for now it's 1 hour. Potentially we're going to decrease this lag to have maybe 5 or 15 minutes.
And what were the key steps you took or planning to take to solve this problem?
First of all, we started from the beginning because we had a lot of experience before we started in the Plata, and we started thinking about our data pipeline. So first of all, we just created briefly one first version of DWH. For now, we have third.
Mm-hmm.
But when we started, we just planned the basic data pipeline which we can build.
Mm-hmm.
And we train after that, we launch that and just analyzing which bottlenecks do we have for now to process data with less lag. For example, on the first step, it was uploading data to the Snowflake. We're using it as our main database. After that, we solved this issue, rebuild this process, remove this bottleneck, and we have another bottleneck, and just evolving our DWH process continuously. At first version, I think we had lag about 3 or 6 hours. For now, we have close lag about 1 hour. And after that, as I said, we have steps for evolving in maybe next 6 months to have less lag than an hour.
And what will happen next?
So next we will have, so at first step, we created ETL process, and for now we're going to ELT. It's different technologies totally. First, we're trying to create transform first and load after that. And potentially, ETL should be better than ELT because we just transform data in the pipeline. We have no bottlenecks. We have very straightforward process, so it's always fine. But in the real world, it's not working like that. You have a lot of processes around data, like migrations, transformations, and you have a lot of bottlenecks in other steps, in load and maybe serving. In this case, we are trying to go in load first, load raw data and transform it in a single place in the Snowflake. And in this case, we have a lot of bottlenecks for now. For now, it's more algorithmic because we're trying to create very strong database with whole historical data, etc. And and also we have one point which we want to improve. It's Snowflake Loader, because as you know, a lot of databases that we're using, they have two types: OLAP and OLTP. It's analytical databases and operational. Operational databases are working well with small batches of data with one row, for example, but OLAP databases designed in another way, where you should upload big amount of data with big batches. In this case, we have dilemma. On one hand, we can upload very big batch with a lot of data and it will be very cheap. But we have very big lag in this case because we need to collect a lot of data, for example, in 1 hour or 1 day, and upload it easily. But if you need a smaller lag, you need to slice data in small batches and then upload it, but a lot not working well with this. So you need to calculate a proportion of size of batch to have small lag, but not a lot of money to serve it. In this case, for now, we have a deal situation with 1 hour, but potentially, I think 5 minutes it's a limit of our target cost, which we can lose for our data serving layer. I think this is.
And how did you structure your team for this project? Like who is involved in this project?
Sure. I think the main force it's DWH team, because we're working with data sources as black boxes. We just collecting data from databases and that's all. It's easier to integrate new data sources. In team, we have two main types of inside teams. So we have platform team, who's developing tools for our DWH, and we are going forward to have self-service in DWH to serve all our tools for analysts to just set up data pipeline and just use data. I think it's cool for any company who's working with data. Also, we have business streams. Business streams are using these tools which built in platform team and just serving data. They are building data pipelines, data marts, and all the stuff around the data. So they're really using data. Also, we have teams outside like data sources or developers and product analysts who are analyzing data.
And how your timeline look like? How much time you spend on this project to this point, and what's your roadmap ahead?
Sure. We started 2 years ago, I think maybe 2 years and some month from scratch. After that, we launched first DWH in 4 months, a very small timeline for this. After that, we had a lot of challenges to just make it stable. And I think we spent 1 year for making this setup stable and scalable. And for now, we have, I think, more evolutional step. We have plans for maybe 1 year and a half for evolving our platform, for building more tools to automate all our processes, like after application process based on Zero Ticket, for example, and just decreasing cost of our data warehouse, like Snowflake database or maybe in-house on-premise warehouse.
Okay, and while working on this project, like what were the biggest obstacles you faced? You mentioned some of them already, but what maybe some kind of issues with data availability, maybe some kind of technical challenges, what it was?
Sure. I think the main issue and the main problem that we have very big challenge, which we defined it by ourselves. One hour lag is the very brave one. After that, we have a lot of challenges just adding to us because when company is growing and you have challenge with 1 hour lag, you have problem from startup and also have technical problems from your decision to have 1 hour lag. And I think the main problem and issue that we learned about, don't be very brave, be brave and keep be challengeable, but not be over challengeable. So you should understand your capacity to pass all issues that you can. At start, I think we got more challenges that we can handle, but for now we are learning a lot, and we are getting challenges which can be fitted in us. And second, I think we faced with some issues related to modern data pipelines tools. I don't want to mention them, but just test tools before production ready, because some tools can be very popular, very shiny, brightly, and etc., very modern, but on scale they don't work at all. So just test them and don't rely on them in production ready solution, because it can cost you a lot of nervous and money.
Yeah, and like already you mentioned that, but I have to ask, like everyone is smart after the project begins or it's ended. Like, what would you do differently based on your experience right now if you are about to start this project all over again?
Sure. First of all, just ask your data users what issues do you want to solve for them. Because in some startup operations, in startups, you don't need to have 1 hour lag. For example, not for all data sources. Maybe only 1 or 2 data sources need to have this small lag. You will just economy your time, your money, etc. Also, don't rely on standard technologies like ETL. So yes, ETL works well, like IBM servers, but not for now, because you need to check and challenge all concepts or maybe tools first, and after that use it in production. And I think a third one advice: set small goals, and after that evolve with more small steps. Because of course you use an inventor or a developer or manager, you can imagine whole goals from the university, but you don't need to solve all of them in one time. You can plan them in small steps and just evolve. Don't be very aggressive for them.
And what specific tools, platforms, you already mentioned also some of them, like, but were essential in helping you gather, process, analyze the data for this project, and you can say that, yeah, this is great tool or tool.
Sure. I think, as I mentioned, Snowflake, it's nice cloud-based warehouse which I'm using. Good solution for start also. Second, we're using Airflow. It's working well. We're trying to check the new modern tool Daxter, which also seems well as alternative, but we're not using yet. And I think third, 2 more. Third, it's more for data extraction is Debezium. We're using Debezium for extracting data from Postgres and Mongo databases, and it's working well, but we, for now, refactored and recreated this connector by our own, because we have specific requirements for now, which Debezium not covered. And fourth, it's about more data governance, Data Hub. We're using Data Hub as a data catalog for our data entities lineage, for documentation, and for data governance processes.
Awesome. And let's talk about a little bit about the future. Like, what do you think will happen in the terms of new technologies in upcoming years, like 1 or 2 years? Do you think something great is on the horizon, or even you are starting to using this right now?
I hope so, that in next years we will have big evolution of warehouses like Apache Iceberg, which hyping for now, because it's creating a move horizon for Lakehouse and for working with data, because you have dedicated computing and storage. It's perfect solution. Also, I hope we will see some Lakehouse evolution to work with ML and files, because for now, as I know, Lakehouse is more oriented into tabular data like Postgres or other. And in future of ML and AE, we need to have hybrid mode of tabular data and files data, like maybe a Delta Lake. And I think I'm a fan of GPUs, and I hope someday somewhere we will have a database based on GPU, because GPU has a lot of potential for computing in parallel. Maybe someday we will have seen that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Speaking about the future, let's concentrate a little bit on AI. Like, how are you using AI in your day-to-day work to make your work faster or better? Do you have some kind of specific approach to that, specific tools you are using and would like to recommend?
Sure. I'm using AI currently like a junior assistant, because he can help a lot with small things. For example, like formatting or maybe refactoring your code, maybe with small bugs. In very complex tasks, it can be it can lie to you, but in small tasks it's okay. Also, I'm using it writing emails because it's easier to say, just try to rephrase it more polite.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's a great use case of AI for sure. And finally, like based on your experience, like what advice would you give someone who is looking to leveraging data, using data more efficiently in their business?
I think collect data that you have. Don't lose data, but don't be very nervous about data. So collecting data that really will be useful, because you need this data maybe in the future, but not trying to create big data, as we mentioned maybe a decade ago, when we trying to collect all data around the world. It will not work. It will cost a lot of money. So just trying to understand the usability of data, and just trying to collect it first and serve it in the useful form. Because first of all, collecting is a very important task, yeah, but after that you need to think about usage of this data. If you have no tools for using it very comfortable, it will be painful to use the data. I think these two are my favorite.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of DDM, DDFN podcast, and answering all my questions today, and being a great guest.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you.